What is something someone has done that you will never be able to forgive them for? My first husband and my best friend cheated on me. We divorced, they married. It lasted 2 years. He wanted me back. Just know, I'm well rid of both of them, but I'm not planning to forgive the way they treated me. That was 40 years ago. He got in touch with me again, about 4 years ago, wanting to be friends again. I have a really long memory. No. My husband put a hidden camera in our bathroom, and recorded my 14-year-old niece, nude. He made GIFs and collages from the images. I found a GIF of it, almost 3 years later, when he downloaded it to the family tablet from the cloud, and forgot to delete it. I called the police immediately. He is now in prison, but due to get out, in less than 2 years. What a piece of shit. Yeah. He was her biggest father figure, too. She loved him as her most fun uncle and surrogate dad. He met her when she was 10. She's also the niece I'm closest to. I helped raise her, the first 6 years of her life. He knew everything we had been through, and chose to target her, probably because of that. I came very close to becoming a felon the day I found the GIF. My mom breaking her back to support and help everyone in our family and extended family, only to have everyone complain about how hard her terminal cancer diagnosis was for them, and how she didn't understand what they were going through. I've cut so many people out, and can't seem to trust people, or let them in anymore. I'm so much quieter and reserved now. All I do is work, and stay at home. Edit. Just wanted to write that it's a shame so many people have this same experience. It's definitely easier once you cut people out. Thanks everyone for being so nice. I will work on being more sociable again. I am so sorry about your mom. That hurts. I feel like I could have wrote this myself. Same experience with my mom's side of the family, my siblings, and her terminal diagnosis. Somehow, against all odds, she's still here fighting it, no thanks to any of them. It will never go away though, so, her status is still terminal. All we can do is buy a little time. It's just me and my ailing stepdad, also sick himself. I left my job to caregive. My mom has sacrificed so much of herself and her own life to help them all, and then when she finally needs some serious support herself, well, that's just too inconvenient for them. I am also changed by this. I first experienced it when my dad died. A lot of family and friends just puffed out of existence suddenly when I needed them, it seemed. The people I thought closest to me abandoned me. But people I least expected stepped up instead. I learned a lot about the nature of genuine friendship when that happened. When mom got sick too, it was the same. Many people I thought were very close disappeared, and new or unexpected people stepped up. They aren't family though, they can't help me much with caregiving. We have plenty of family that should be helping with that, but have every excuse not to. I am also a lot quieter and more reserved now. I'm too tired to even feel angry anymore. My wife's former friend, who told her she was pregnant with my baby. We had never had sex, and she wasn't pregnant. Just wanted to break us up, and almost succeeded. Did she want you, or she just wanted you all to break up? She wanted my wife to herself, really controlling woman, constantly inviting herself over, crazy stuff like rearranging the kitchen to be more efficient for her. This all happened after I drew the line and said she needed to call ahead, as she constantly interrupted family time for her own drama. My ex-girlfriend at the time, who he cheated on me with and got pregnant, messaged me and said, "It's not my fault my son lived and yours died." I'll never forget that, ever. My mother came to the hospital specifically to tell me that my baby, who was in the NICU, was going to die, and that would be my punishment from God for marrying, insert, racial slur. I hope you, your spouse, and your child are doing well. We're all doing great. Obviously, we are non-contact with mom. Good. Your mom sounds like an insufferable bitch. There is a whole saga around my wedding, of her being an insufferable bitch, with main character syndrome. I'm not having that anywhere near my kids. My aunt, who befriended the man who sexually assaulted my mother. He would beat and hit my mom, all the time. I remember being 8 or 9 years old, and calling 911 on him, because he wouldn't stop attacking her. He and my aunt are best friends now, I have no idea why. Abruptly broke up with me, while pregnant, through text, as I was hemorrhaging in the hospital, after 7 months of trying to get pregnant. There wasn't even fighting, or an explanation provided. I can only assume he's off with someone else, as I prepare for divorce with a toddler. and do any day. I made friend in high school in my very first semester. We got really close, and I was so thankful to have somebody to hang out with, because most of the kids were pretty awful to me, being the only deaf student, who also wore hearing aids. I got ridiculed pretty bad. He was kind of a loner too, so we really provided good friendship to each other. Well, eventually, he did meet some other kids, who didn't like me, then he started to ignore me. I still remember the day I realized he was just completely turning on me, when he wouldn't allow me to walk beside him anymore. So, after that day, we were officially not friends, and I went back to having no one. I won't forgive him for doing that to me, because in some ways, it was even worse than what the bullies did. My best friend and I went into business, and for the first 2 years, it was all above board. Then she started to change, got greedy, and was taking money out of places she shouldn't. Hired her daughter, who honestly, was the most entitled person I have ever met. I didn't see it for so long, but I was doing 90% of the work, and they were living the dream. I rarely took a wage. I knew I had to leave when she started talking about how we can legally rip people off. I left the company, legally, and left her everything I had worked for 2 years. She got worse after I left. Ripped heaps of people off. Taken to court, and forced into liquidation. She tried to tell people it was because I ran off with the money, yet I left without a cent. She has since been in the news, and exposed for what she is. I left that business and friendship, feeling like I was leaving an abusive relationship. She had stolen my self-confidence, little by little over time, that I barely even knew who I was anymore. If you had met me before, you would have called me strong and assertive. Afterwards, I second-guessed myself all the time. It has been 2 years now. I am in a much better place, and so glad I got out, as I have no doubt, she was just keeping me along, to make me take the fall. Her arrogance is something else. Thank goodness, for excellent bookkeeping on my part. My stepdaughter lied in court, to police, and to her abusive BF, that my brother had hit her. I have cameras in and around my house, I had proof that he didn't. Cops didn't want it. Took us 2 years, and $20,000 in lawyers to fight that BS, and when my lawyer presented the camera footage, it was thrown out immediately. Judge had not nice words for the cops that were pushing the case. Stepdaughter now tells my grandson that we don't want to see him, which is completely false. Just a footnote, no, after 2 years I couldn't be asked taking the cops to court. We let it go from there, but the whole thing was crap. Sooner or later, grandson will be old enough to come here himself, and I will tell him the truth. She can go suck a bag of D, though. My dad gave me a ring on my 21st, that matched his own, given to him on his 21st, custom made from his old wedding ring. When my brother, different dad, stayed with me, he stole things, and either pawned, or drug traded. This was one of the things he stole. Been 7 years, and still haven't been able to mention to my dad. My mother had dementia, but was still having moments of clarity at that point. During one of those moments, my brother persuaded her to alter her will, to leave everything, to him. I didn't care about my share so much, but he took the inheritance from my children, her only grandchildren. We've been non-contact for years. I miss the brother I used to have. I don't miss who he became. Edited to add, I really appreciate all the comments on this thread. I'm sorry so many of you had been, or are going through the same ringer, but it's strangely reassuring to know we're not alone. We had our reasons for not attempting to contest it, but I'm glad to hear about the successes. Mother, child abuse. Her various husbands and boyfriends, child abuse. Father, child abuse, plus sole contribution to my life, was a paltry $10, which stopped on the day of my 16th birthday. I walked away from the lot of them at 13, and have never seen them again. There can never be any forgiveness for those who hurt animals or children. My best friend repeatedly told me what my ex was up to, even to the point where he got married. I constantly told her to stop, and she didn't. I felt like she was trying to make me depressed. One day, I spiraled with information she shared with me, and after I mentally came back, I was literally out of work for a few days. I ended our 25 years long friendship. My teachers from my primary school. I had scruffy clothes, sometimes summer dresses in the middle of winter, and no gloves, or warm coat, no food for lunch, insect bites all over my legs, usually sat in the corner of the playground, with a coat over my head to avoid people, and struggled in class. They must have known things weren't right at home, but they treated me like the weird kid, and either targeted me, or ignored me. I hope I see them, at some point, to give them a piece of my mind. My brother suddenly stopped paying the remaining money I loaned him, for a custody battle. I'm now stuck with paying another $10K loan. Do a good thing to get your sibling their child, ask to be repaid the remaining, and get shafted off, and suddenly not get paid anymore, no communication for months, and told, their family comes first. That you helped them get. Mom died of cancer, and wanted to be cremated. My very Christian grandfather blamed my dad for it. Then, he had a bunch of church buddies attend the condolences, who proclaimed they wouldn't attend the actual funeral service, because cremation went against their beliefs. F him. I will never forgive my mother for abusing me. I was 4 when she first punched me. After that, I had to endure 15 more years of violence and molestation, on a weekly, if not daily basis. I look at my nieces and nephews, and I feel like my brain is about to explode. How could anyone do the things that she did to me, to someone so small and innocent? I don't get it, but at least, I have the rest of my life, dealing with PTSD, and all of the other fun stuff to look forward to. My mom blamed me for my abuse. I was groomed from the ages of 5.5, up to 13 by the same man. As far as I remember, nothing was overtly physical, was definitely sinister, but I do have huge black spots from my memory. My mom told me I was just as bad as him, and because I wouldn't show her the messages she said it was, because I was obviously ashamed of what I was messaging back. For context, the dude was 26 when I was 13, and had proposed to me. Said he was going to take me away as soon as I was 16 to be married. I had known him since I was 5. So, obviously, I was embarrassed when my mom asked to see, and refused to show her. There was a police investigation going on at the time. I was in therapy enforced by the police, which she hated, and she has never said that it wasn't my fault. She let me go through my childhood being absolutely miserable, angry, and despondent. She didn't teach me how to brush my hair, how to brush my teeth properly, so I ended up with 5 teeth being removed at once. Because I got an abscess, I was bullied by all the other kids. I didn't know how to prepare food for my lunches, so just went without food. I also highly suspect that I am undiagnosed autistic, as I had ARFID as a kid, so I have long-lasting, probably permanent, health damage from not eating fruits or vegetables, meats, milk, anything nutritious as a kid. I would have a panic attack at the thought of eating anything different, and my parents refused to take me to the doctor to figure out what was going on. I had huge emotional meltdowns, was hurting myself for years, all while my parents just left me to it. My landlady had to teach me how to do my washing at 18, when I moved out, because I didn't know how to, because I'd never been shown, and she saw I was using fabric softener as detergent, and knew my clothes weren't clean. She has also done unbelievable things in the past, but this still is something I can never forgive her for. Sad thing is, I still love her more than anything, and I just want her to love me properly back. But I'm starting to understand, the love I am asking from her, I likely will never get. It hurts, man. Friend of ours committed suicide. After a long struggle, I'm still numb to it, a part of a tight-knit friend group, we all were. One decided to skip out on the funeral, because his then new girlfriend pressured him into keeping the vacation plans they had. After much pleading, and attempts to tell him he would regret it, from many people, he went anyway. They're broken up forever ago, he's ridden with guilt, and no one feels bad for him. At my first dental job, I was pregnant and excited, was 21 at the time. I ended up miscarrying, and the older man, dentist, said, "Oh well, that's great news, a baby would have ruined your life, now you can focus on your career here." I quit that week. My abuser as a child has destroyed my choice of sexuality, and what I truly am. I'm an older man now, who has been confused my entire life, if I am truly gay, or bi, or straight. Most of my adult life has been spent married to a female, but was a cuckold to her, and her bull. My abuse was as a 10-year-old boy, that lasted into my mid-teens. Not enough space to describe all that happened, but was primarily used as a service boy, for him, and most of his friends. Not me, but before I met my wife, she found out she had cancer at 25, and there were so many people in her life who just abandoned her. She was living alone, and had very few people to lean on, as her father was already deceased. It was pretty much her and her mom, and that was it. Her boyfriend broke up with her because he couldn't watch her die, her best friend cut her off because it was too depressing, and several family members, including her only sister, all basically told her some variation of, "Well, I guess, it was nice knowing you." Her relationship with her mom became much stronger, and one of her friends really stepped up, but in the 10+ years since, it has been difficult to watch her struggle, still with the impact that diagnosis had on her life. She and her sister had made up a while ago, and it's like nothing happened, but there are family members who we see, but she just doesn't trust or think highly of anymore. And only recently did she just reconnect with that best friend, and only because the friend's husband finally got her to apologize, 10 years later. But yeah, my wife's life is completely different than what she expected it would be when she was diagnosed. She's been in remission forever now, we have beautiful kids, we have a house, she has a great career. But it really showed the true colors of a lot of people in her life, and only having met her a couple years after she finished treatment, I was there for a lot of the blowback still. I think dealing with a friend or family member who is dying of cancer is very hard, and a part of her has forgiven those people who abandoned her, but the damage is still there. She still struggles with it. It's sad. Our group of friends, me included, had a garage rented where we hang out, play video games, etc. Between all of us we brought a PS3 back when it came out, plus we had a Wii, my GameCube plus games, controllers, etc. One of the rich kids wasted his money and even sold stocks that his parents gave him in a lot of DJ shit. Once he run out of money, the guy robbed us everything, and started poisoning the rest, into thinking that it was me. Sure, I'm going to rob myself, WTF? After a failed attempt of suicide from the guy, he confessed, but it was too late for me already. They are rural guys, and I'm from the capital, so I was the bad guy, just for that. After that, I spent 10 years living there alone, doing my life elsewhere, because, F them. When I was 18, I accidentally got way too drunk with my friend, and he raped me. I didn't remember, just woke up, and he was acting weird. That's not the hurtful part though. He didn't tell me, he told my 2 other friends. I went to their house one day, and they were both kind of singing a song. Then I noticed, with huge smiles on their faces, they changed the lyrics of the song to the details of my rape. Sing-songing and mocking what happened, thinking it was hilarious. And that's how I found out. There would be no support for me. I had so much anger over it, and felt so trapped, that I pushed the whole ordeal really far down, to the point where I didn't even remember it, until like 5 years later, when I was triggered, and forced to process it fresh. I'll never forgive those friends for mocking and bullying me for being raped. I lost touch with them a decade ago, and I will never try to repair those friendships.